The field. Every neighborhood has one. Grass, concrete, or dirt. The stage is the same. The rules, unwavering. And the goals, beautiful.
It goes in! Improbable scenes!
It's where the dream begins to achieve the ultimate victory.
The underdogs have prevailed once again!
One cup, open to all.
There is a celebration in Orlando.
Now, America's oldest soccer tournament is back.
Oh, it's incredible!
The field doesn't care if you're a pro or trying to be one. It only asks, how bad do you want it?
It's unbelievable!
The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
It is an Open Cup match day unlike any other in the gateway city of St. Louis. City Park in St. Louis, Missouri, playing host to USL League One side Union Omaha, the giant slayer of 2022, and the MLS debutante side, St. Louis City SC. Joined by the former Creighton Blue Jay and MLS player Ricky Lopez-Espin, Mike Watts on hand for the call. Orlando City, the reigning champion. We enter the 108th edition of the tournament. And tonight we open the third round, and this is going to feel just a little bit different. This is what everybody dreams about, the chance to knock off a top division team.
And it's going to be so interesting, Mike. St. Louis City 2 prior in the Open Cup as City 2, but now they're the Giants for Union Omaha. What does this look like? Dom Casiato is going to have his boys ready to go. It's going to be extremely interesting 90 minutes of football here.
Yeah, there's hardly an open seat in this venue. It may well be a sellout on a Tuesday night in St. Louis. The soccer roots are real, and they very much arrived with this MLS team. What we do know about Tomas Ostrak is that he has a limitless ceiling. Tonight we might get to see it on full display.
Talking to Bradley Carnell, he said, one thing. Tomas Ostrak has a brilliant opportunity to look him in the eye after this game and say, this is why I deserve to be on the field for MLS games. Come here out, Tomas Ostrak as a number 10. He's going to connect it back to front. For this Union Omaha, they've been here and they've done it.
Yeah, they have. They go to Soldier Field and Allianz Field and knock off Chicago and Minnesota. That carries a little weight when you try and do it again.
And they have the confidence, so they've done it once. Why can't they do it again? Dominic Cascado is telling his boys, saying, look, we've done it. Come together, beat against this St. Louis City side in City Park. It's a whole different animal for this Union Omaha side.
Now, a number of these players did it with the team last year. In the case of Luis Gil, he's literally lifted the trophy with Houston Dynamo. You know as well as anybody, this guy's been there, done that. He's not going to shy away from the bright lights.
And this Omaha side is going to lean on his experience, his quality. If you're Dominic Cascado, you want him on the ball early and often, asking questions of St. Louis City.
St. Louis City has made 10 changes from their weekend draw at Colorado. Omaha, just one change from the team that beat El Paso 2-0 in the second round.
And I think this game is won or lost in the middle of the field. You have Connor Doyle, Joey Gallardo for Union Omaha, but for St. Louis City, Vasilev, Perez, Ostrak, how quickly can they get on the ball? Who's going to implement their identity on the opposition? And that's going to be the winner of tonight.
The sun is setting in St. Louis. It is the beginning of a new era of the Open Cup in this city. Union Omaha have ideas of grandeur. Last year they proved they're hardly delusions. Union Omaha takes on St. Louis City to the roar of this ruckus sold-out crowd at City Park. We're underway in the third round. When we spoke to Bradley Carnell, part of the conversation was we have to be the outlier. Omaha has seen great teams before, but we have to be at a different level, even though the group that they're playing today isn't the group that's gotten off to the best expansion start in MLS history.
And it's going to be interesting the first 10 to 15 minutes for the side. How quickly can they take the sting out of the stadium and get comfortable? So I keep talking about Joey Gallardo in the center of the park. He is a special player for Dominic Cascado, so that he wants everything from to play simple, take the sting out of the game, and play your game for Union Omaha.
Palacios, Alexi Sawahi. Pressure rising from St. Louis. Steered down by Meza. Did score in that Chicago Fire game last year. Sawahi. And if you're Omaha, part of the conversation is you have to move the ball quickly, or St. Louis, not only the team, but the stadium will start to close in on you.
And that's something that they know about. St. Louis City wants to press high. They want to force turnovers, want to get into their counter pressing and squeeze you towards an end line. So how quickly and how clever can Union Omaha be on the ball, clean, decisive, to break down the city press?
Jackson arrives, plowing forward. Peu. A stare down with Palacios, who's not one to back down from a physical fight.
And that's a matchup we're going to keep an eye out on. Palacios very physical, but Peu super clever. The movement to come in, to go out, playing off the shoulder. So Hawaii, Palacios need to be spot on in terms of their positioning, their communication, to negate any sort of service into Pompeo's feet.
Bartlett. Ben Lunt starts in goal. His first appearance for the first team for St. Louis City. Three red shirts forward in unison. Backline dropping off. What a start! It's just the 3rd minute. It is a dream beginning for St. Louis City. A.Z. Jackson. A phenomenal goal from A to Z.
And it's a dream start here for St. Louis City, but if you're Connor Doyle, you're the single pivot. You can't get caught out so wide. You just see how explosive St. Louis City is going back the other way. Jackson says, I see you, Jensen. I see you, Ostrak. I don't need you. Head down, lays it through that ball into that near post. There's nothing that Nuhu can do, but it needs to be better for Union Omaha. You can't keep retreating. Someone needs to step up and interpretate and get in front of Jackson. Dream start for City, 1-0 in the first 5 minutes.
Best 11 last year in MLS Next Pro with Minnesota United 2. And the New York City native who came up through the Red Bull Academy has launched St. Louis in their first Open Cup game as an MLS side. A corner, one on the other end, last touched by Selmir Pedro. Nobody sits here. And once you score a goal this early, it just gets louder, and again, it just sort of seems to close in on you.
Massive challenge for Union Omaha, but set pieces, Mike, are going to be extremely important.
Service from Gill. Touched off of Sawahi. Ezekiel Jackson getting his roses. Just 16 minutes in the league season. Takes less than 3 to put St. Louis City on the board tonight. Keel Watts. Ball stripped off the foot of Ostrak. Held up by Steven Dos Santos. Pushed outside by Skeers. Omaha don't scare easily. Gill cutting inward. Gill. That's a corner.
And you have to be pleased if you're Dominic Cascado. The reaction from this Omaha side, going down 1-0 within the first 5 minutes. Not ideal, hostile environment. But what was the reaction going to look like from these boys? Confident moving the ball from left to right. And Luis Gill showing what he's capable of, making players miss and asking questions, testing the shape of St. Louis City within that back line.
Corner for Omaha. That skitters all the way through. Cleared as far as Akoff. Off of Palacios, Akoff again. Skeers called for it. Gill. Skeers. All floated through. That was off the mark, but Akoff recovers. That's an open header, and that's a real concern. Third reserve ball in that run for Omaha, but they come up empty.
And it's nervy moments offensively for City, especially from set pieces. Losing your individual battle, but once again, you know quality is coming from Union Omaha. I think it's Palacios that get on the end of this, an ability to keep it underneath the crossbar.
Yarrow handled that comfortably. Now this is a very different Omaha team. Jay Mims moved on from the club over the offseason. Dominic Casiato took over. Former El Paso assistant, knocked off his former club in the second round. The Jay Mims style was press all over the field, more or less seemingly at all times. This is perhaps a bit more measured. Ball was tipped away, Ostrak. Able to claim it off Palacios. We'll take it away by the goal scorer, Jackson. Pompeu. And fortunate for Brewer, Karam's out off him.
Union Omaha having a very difficult time just in terms of their positioning between Gallardo and Doyle. The inability to play direct, to break lines in their passing, plays right into the hands of St. Louis City, who like to swarm you, who like to press high. So far, 10 minutes on, asking a lot of questions and making life extremely difficult for the visitors.
You can see Doyle lowering his hands to the teammates. And they slow it down. That instance away from Pedro. His first start in the first team has come off the bench twice. The native Bosnia and Herzegovina. Nuhu. Palacios. Claimed by Vasilev. Skierce. Good recovery by Vasilev. Pedro. Pompeu. Vasilev. Watts.
And it's better from Omaha defensively, being compact. 10 players behind the ball, letting St. Louis City make that mistake, forcing them to play centrally, to go outside. Give credit to Palacios and Sawahi. Really gave a calming presence so far, same as Connor Doyle, to letting in that early goal.
Gallardo. Trio of red shirts in pursuit. Found the width. Shaft Brewer. Spent time at LAFC. Into the feet of Gill. Run the flyby. Doyle. Akoff. Well, Omaha certainly have ideas. That's a good start.
When it comes to the feet of Doyle, first look is always forward, straight into the feet of Dos Santos. And he needs to get a bit more active in terms of his movement. Big physical number 9. You want him to occupy Bartlett and Yarrow to give the players underneath him opportunity to operate into the real estate. So far, not on the same page in the attacking phase, Omaha.
Vasilev, Cal Perez, the St. Louis native, already part of the U.S. under-19 group. Ricky, how do you even start to put what St. Louis has done in the league into context? Because as the roster started to come together and they started to get some pretty good results in preseason, it became clear they weren't going to have necessarily the same issues as some other recent expansion teams. But starting with 5 straight wins all of a sudden reset the bar for the entire league.
I think you can't describe it because it's never been done, right? So you're talking to Riley Cardinale, and he said, when I came into this project, I knew what I wanted. The general manager, technical director, Lutz as well. The idea from top to bottom to come together to play for something bigger than yourself. You talk about players, Roman Berkey played over in Germany, to come and say, look, I'm going to come a year early to get the foundation, to know what it's like to succeed in MLS. And it's just been a joy. And for MLS, you have to be extremely pleased with the addition of St. Louis City.
Sporting director Lutz Pfannenstiel. Last year, the St. Louis City SC2 team led by John Hackworth, who's now an assistant to Bradley Carnell, director of coaching for the club. And of course, the Luligans are still here. Attack is on here for St. Louis. Into the penalty area, cutback ball. That's cleared right back up the gut, but onto the foot of Doyle and cleared away. Ostrock was a bit out in front of it. Could have found the back post in Jensen. Nevertheless, Omaha dodged that bullet. Akoff, curling central. Yarrow cleans it up. He wears the captain's armband for this occasion.
Going back to that City opportunity, that front four, from the fluidity, the movement, to pull players out of position. Union Omaha, very good in turning their defense into offense. Going down, Akoff has been extremely active on this right-hand side.
Isak Jensen sends it into the stands. Away from Akoff, this is going to stay with Omaha. And a set piece here for the League One side.
Bit of confusion within both teams. Akoff takes the contact from Perez, doesn't go down. The silence sees it. Union Omaha won't ask any questions, especially when this man's on the ball, the quality that he has.
Over 130 games at Real Salt Lake. Gill from Garden Grove. Gill crossing header, saved off the line. Yarrow got up to meet it. Sent through again. This is Dos Santos at Lund. Those two were former foes in the USL Championships Eastern Conference.
Knocking on the door, Union Omaha, the quality we've talked about at set pieces. Askears rises up. Josh Yarrow was there, positioning spot on. And once again, the second phase is always a nightmare for defensive units. Santos creates his own space, just like you said, Mike, right at Lund.
Jensen. Pedro. Ostrock. Jensen bursting through. Collective defending from Omaha stymies the movement for the moment. Vasilev. Bartlett. Pushed away by Skeers. Dos Santos. Held up by Perez, who's won it. The 17-year-old starts the other way. Watts. No relation, of course.
I think St. Louis City needs to be extremely careful. They want to play expansive soccer, but if they force a turnover, you see how explosive Union Omaha is with the runners. Mesa, Dos Santos, Skeers, and Gill quickly operating the real estate in front of them. So it was very interesting. We were talking to Bradley Carnell, said, look, we need to have forward defending.
Palacios living dangerously. The referee won't bail him out. Jensen. Room for Ostrock to get a strike away. Will not trouble Rashid Nuhu.
Doesn't need a second invitation to pull the trigger. Tomas Ostrock, such a special player. Again, second balls for City have been extremely important. 17 minutes in. They're having a lot of success just playing off the shoulder of Connor Doyle. That's a risky run when you play a single pivot. The spaces in between lines. And so far, St. Louis City's having a field day just with the movement of Jackson and Jensen to come underneath. Pompeo's asking all sorts of questions of Palacio.
Net by Bartlett. Now for Skiers dos Santos a touch. Ricochet's free. He wins the free kick. If he hadn't, he had already collected the ball in his hands.
Santos is very clever, feels the contact here, gets his body in between him and Perez first. As Perez comes underneath him, he goes down. Once again, we've seen how dangerous Union Omaha have been on set pieces. So anything about 40 yards in, they're going to dump it into the box, trying to create chaos within the box of Ben Loot.
Gill. Palacios chasing Pompeu. Lest we forget, St. Louis, really short turnaround. They were at Colorado, arrived back in St. Louis about 3 a.m. on Sunday. You were asking Bradley Carnell, how do you try and fit an entire week's worth of preparation, so to speak, into Monday?
Yeah, it was interesting. He said, look, we usually have 2 planning days, then the tactical, but you do all that in one day. So it's very interesting to see how these boys take Union Omaha with the ball, without the ball. Stuff you see on film and implemented 2 days after.
Yeah.
So it's a big challenge for both of these sides, Union Omaha as well, coming off of a game against Charlotte Independence.
And those set pieces turn to Pompeu. The angle is tightened. Pompeu looking for Ostrak. Deflects for a corner.
Once again, the front four just so slippery for City. Pompeu very good on the ball, 1v1. Nifty feet work. It's been a nightmare between Sawahi and Palacios in terms of just his movement.
Celio Pompeu moved to the U.S. at 10 years old, went to St. Benedict's in New Jersey, moved from Brazil, went on to be the A-10 midfielder of the year at VCU. Undrafted, came into City 2 last year. Pompeu, rising header from Gill. This is Doyle. Gill. Slashed outside by Gallardo. Meza clearly offside.
But it's better from Omaha. Just playing around the corner, you can just see Meza a bit too eager. The timing is off. About a yard off between him, Josh Auer, and Bartlett. Gallardo needs to get on the ball a bit more if you're Dominic Casciato. Such a special player. As in number 10, everything that goes forward goes through his feet. A wand of a left foot. Rarely said his name 20 minutes in.
Jensen, 19-year-old Dane. Pedro. Trouble brewing. Pompeu. And it bounces to Nuhu. There is a bit of confusion there. Nuhu and Sawahi.
Just see how opportunistic Pompeu is. Sniffs out anything.
They're mistakes that you have gotten away with to this point. They conceded in the 3rd minute. It's another pass in a poor area of the field. It allows St. Louis to fan out. Ostrak. Jackson. He's got a goal already. Perez. Into Akoff. Carried forward by Pedro dos Santos. Pushed down by Jensen.
It's just a bit too slow on that transition moment for St. Louis City. As Jackson comes in, I think the ball is behind Perez. His first touch lets him down. Brilliant work here from Dos Santos as a striker to come about 20 yards out of his box, feels his contact, relieve some of the pressure that Union Omaha has been under.
Well, the pressure mounts again. Jensen. Jensen onto his left. Ricochets over to Pedro, leaving it back. Unfortunate, St. Louis doesn't create more from it.
And once again, it's just a spacing in the center of the park, Mike, for Union Omaha. Hunter Doyle, he can't get pulled apart towards the sideline. And it leaves too much real estate for players of St. Louis City's quality to make them pay. How many times have we seen Jensen come underneath? Pedro's getting around. And once again, you can just see Ostrak and Jensen about 10 yards with no one around them. For St. Louis City too, how quickly can you change your point of attack? That's the way you're going to hurt this Union Omaha side.
Ostrak, overlap, threw it out from Watts to Pompeu. Somehow swung across through, that gets over the top of Akoff. Jensen tracks it down. Pedro. Perez. This is Jensen. Ball flicked through toward Jackson. Doyle got a touch. Gill. Skiers. Dos Santos, full sprint. Bartlett. Good recovery by the former first-round pick of FC Dallas.
Let's have forward defending that Briley Carnell wants the center backs to be when they're in position. How good can they be to negate any counter-attacking opportunity? And Josh Yarrow have been spot on so far.
Turn back by JP Skiers. Sawahi, Nuhu, welcome the pressure, perhaps to his own detriment. Games going on all night tonight. BR app, YouTube, and CBS Golazo Network. Detroit City, 5 minutes into the game, ahead against Minnesota United. The game has just reached halftime. Long wait for the whistle. You can barely hear it with this crowd. Now the referee shows a yellow, and that's of grave concern for Junior Palacios, who's somewhat of a magnet for those.
You just see him barking at the players in front of him. It's been way too sloppy for Union Omaha playing out of the back. As Pompeo goes around the corner, and he takes the contact and he feels down. Those two have been going at it all night. Now Junior Palacios needs to be extremely careful in terms of his discipline, the challenges that he decides to go into. Something where you don't want as a center back to pick up an early yellow card.
Set piece for St. Louis. Skims the top of the penalty area. Doyle the first touch. Pedro. Header from Yarrow. Pompeu. Number of options. He lashes in front. Nuhu got a touch, and the follow-up is pushed wide.
And it's fantastic individual work here from Pompeo as he just stands up his defender. Very patient, picks up his head and just says, if I whip this thing in a dangerous situation, good things can happen. Nuhu spillage right in front of the goal, but good recovery there. Josh Yarrow unable to have the finishing touch.
Omaha is really struggling to deal with St. Louis right now, and the referee's whistle is the only buffer. That was Jackson and Pompeu converging into the trap on the touchline.
It's all about decision making right now for Union Omaha. As St. Louis City likes to press high, you just dump the ball in behind, gain some real estate, play into the body of Steven Dos Santos, the target number 9 out and out, get that secondary ball. Too many times you're getting turned over in your defensive half.
Akoff. Up the line.
Bartlett. And Mesa apparently running amok once again on that line. Approaching the half-hour mark here, Ricky. Bradley Carnell wanted St. Louis City to be the outlier. It sure feels that way right now. The speed with which they're pressing, some of their passing in the final third has been extremely impressive.
Just the talent that they have, and once again, the ability to pick up spaces in between lines and hurt this Union Omaha side. Just the ball movement, players moving off the ball as well, making Union Omaha chase. Extremely active about 30 minutes into this match. Again, changing the point of attack, I think that's the way they're going to be able to hurt this Union Omaha, to make them chase.
Return from Jackson. Vasilev. Yarrow. Bartlett through, nearly for Jensen. Akoff took some muster off it. Palacios, and this is Brewer. Back heel from Gallardo. Didn't have the support he thought he had. Jackson, Ostrak, Pedro. Sliced up the line nicely by Vasilev. Watts charging. Akil Watts crossing. Up into the air, Jensen got under it, smashes a header back across the face of goal. Held up by Perez. This is Pedro. Pedro crossing dangerously again. It's an air raid from Omaha. Struggling to deal with it. Watts. Pompeu. Palacios. Corner. St. Louis.
They've been so active on the right-hand side. Whether it's Watts coming around the corner, the relationship as Jackson comes to the interior. Watts comes around the corner. Union Omaha having a very difficult time at the moment.
Ball crashed into Skiers. There is no VAR. Floated back up and too strong. Bartlett. Oh, wow. Bartlett and Dos Santos, that is two mountains.
Two big boys going at it, but once again, Dos Santos doing the defensive side of the ball. We've seen that numerous of times already in this first half. The center back comes up trying to do a nice little skillful turn, but gets it all wrong. But once again, you just see Dos Santos plays the body before, gets himself between him and the ball, feels the contact, draws another important foul for his side.
Gill. Up from Bartlett, away from Gallardo. Got a piece, but it's Perez, recovered ably by Omaha. JP Skiers. Very early effort forward. Vasilev. Pompeu, a sidecar to his right. Works on Brewer. And sends a shot toward the short post. Slides into side netting away from the two-time League One goalkeeper of the year, Rashid Nuhu.
As Pompeo shifts up to the right-hand side, it's Jackson who comes centrally. We just see the lack there of coverage. No one steps up. Pompeo recognizes it and says, I have real estate. If I cut in on my least preferred left foot, tries to squeak it into that near post. And once again, it's that center midfielder for Union Omaha. It's letting him down defensively. Doyle can do so much. You need the help for Skiers. You need Gill to drop back to make that line of three in front of that back line. That's where you see St. Louis City having so much success just playing off the corner of the single pivot.
If you're Omaha, is that something you're contemplating changing even in the first half with the amount of pressure that St. Louis has been able to bring? Is it something you consider at halftime?
Well, I think you have to change it now. There's too many opportunities for St. Louis City to get that second goal, especially just through the movement. We saw it sometimes from Lewis Gill dropping down the weak side to help Connor Doyle, but it's not happening enough. See, just look at your screen as Eagle Jackson, so much real estate. If he gets the ball in the half turn, there's just so much movement to go straight down the throat of this Union Omaha center defense.
Jensen. 4 red shirts overloading this side of the field. Ball brought down. Pompeu went through the legs of Palacios, but couldn't beat Nuhu.
Just so clever, isn't he? The movement, but also the skill to go through it. Has to play the screen from Palacios between the legs. Fortunate enough for Nuhu, it's straight at him.
Akoff. Akoff on the other end. Slide in from Bartlett.
And he's been fantastic in this first half. Just reading the game. As Pedro gets caught out high, the coverage, the recovery run, everything in the young man's locker.
Somehow from the end line, Gallardo swung that across. It finds Vasilev. Parading ahead. Through ball. Excellent. Nuhu off his line. Kicks this right to Jackson. Jackson angles, fires, saved. What in the world? Out to Watts. Perez. Taken back by Dos Santos. Well, trying to beat a giant at the top of the Western Conference in Major League Soccer, sometimes you got to take risk, even though that felt a little beyond the pale.
And as a goalkeeper, if you come off your line, you need to be extremely decisive. Yes, you do well to get that initial ball, but it's a secondary one that almost shoots you in the foot. Nuhu, fortunate enough that ball's not in the back of the net.
I don't think being indecisive was the problem.
Talking about this picture-perfect ball from Vasilev, and it's just, I don't know who's playing it to, maybe to Palacios. I give credit. Brewer Jr. comes down, retreats, goal line save. I think Jackson just caught between two minds. Do I hit it first time? Do I cut in? That gives the time and space for Brewer Jr. to come down. And once again, Nuhu, very nervy moments in the back of Union Omaha.
You were briefly teammates with Shaft Brewer. LAFC.
Terrific. Right back, gives you just a different look. Work rate, skill, leadership, everything. And a big addition for this Union Omaha side.
Collected by Doyle, who's got family roots here in St. Louis. Taken back by Jackson, Jensen forward. Ostrock. Jackson. Jackson! On the other side, Jensen's head snaps back, waiting for the tap-in that never arrived. This is dominant stuff right now from St. Louis City. Palacios broke it up. Off of Skiers now. Gallardo. That was Yarrow popping off the back line. Akoff. Jackson stepped in. It belongs to Omaha. Another look at another opportunity gone by the wayside for St. Louis City.
And it's all about relationships. As Ostrak comes in, it gives the real estate for Jackson to come around. But then you need composure. You pick your head up. You have Ostrak for the return ball. As the backline's retreating towards their goal line, there's always going to be space for the cutback. Just makes the wrong decision in the end, Jackson. It just comes back from another sloppy turnover for Union Omaha, especially in the middle of the park.
What you can definitely say for Union Omaha is they did not come in here and bunker. They have given an account of how they want to play. They just haven't been nearly clinical enough to execute.
Just not clean enough as well. You see too many sloppy turnovers again. Now they're off to the races.
Shadowed by Doyle. Ostrak finds a little bit of space carved out in the pocket. It was the 3rd minute that AZ Jackson gave St. Louis City their first Open Cup goal from an MLS side. Pedro. Patience. Jensen. End line. Jensen into Akoff. And apparently back into Jensen.
Akoff has been extremely active. Very good defensively, but also gives you a different look going forward. As he stands up, Jensen wins a goal kick for herself. You just see, doesn't dive in for the body feints, head on the ball the whole time, doesn't leave his feet. 50-50 goes for a goal kick. Jensen can't believe it.
Yarrow, Watts, angling through, met by Palacios.
Just look at the gaps, Mike, that Ostrak's able to pick up. Jensen, the second balls are having too much time and space. This Union Omaha side is just so expansive, so vulnerable.
Perez, Ostrak, leading, touch back inward, falls to Ostrak, tapped it through for Jackson. And Akoff, trying to dribble out of harm's way, has put it right over the line. Orchestrating Yarrow. Indiana Vasilev through for Pompeu. Pompeu! Lashed over the crossbar.
And it's Vasilev pulling the string from a deep line position. But as Palacios steps off his line, Elusuahi with 2v1. The run for Jackson doesn't pull Sawadi out of position. Pompeo cuts in, just goes up and over the bar, but those are little situations that you need to have that final product, whether it's a combination player, put it on target. St. Louis City having so much real estate, just breaking the line of Union Omaha.
When do they sit, Ricky? We've been told they don't.
They don't. They need to.
Well, if Omaha is going to get a respite, I'm not sure the fans here in St. Louis are all that inclined to help in that process. Pompeu, it stays in on the line. Ostrak,
angling, Ostrak! Kick save away by Nuhu off the deflection. Still it's alive. It's Pompeu. Cleared off the ball, and Sawahi does the rest. Well, maybe that's the moment of enlightenment Omaha needed. Meza collides. He's been largely a bystander in this first half.
There's no service, inability to hold out the ball for Union Omaha as well. Been very frustrating on the front line for Dominic Casciato.
Vasilev. Elsewhere in the Keystone State, Pittsburgh has grabbed the lead. Edward Kizza, less than 10 minutes remaining against the NISA side, the Maryland Bobcats. That game streaming right now as well. Akoff trying to poke it away, and ultimately skips by Skiers. Well,
watch out.
Jackson feels quite aggrieved. And the real concern is that the player involved in that is Palacios on a yellow card. He does a very good job not to tie himself into that anymore. Both are going to end up walking away with a calming word from the referee.
I think it's this action right here. Go up and over. Jackson didn't like it. Like you said, Mike, Palacios needs to be extremely careful already on a yellow card. Decision making, the challenges that you decide to go into. Walking a very thin line, the center back for Union Omaha.
That's a foul. One by Ostrak. And as we approach halftime, a set piece for St. Louis to try and give themselves a bit of insurance.
Just so much space here as this ball goes away from Jackson. It's your right back coming across the field to take down Tomas Ostrak. The back line from Union Omaha has been under so much pressure. Rotations, the coverage, the recovery run from your center midfielders.
One added minute. Floated up for Bartlett! Nuhu.
Brilliant little chip ball here from Vasilev just to the back post. Such a difficult technique there from Bartlett. Over your left shoulder to snap it down. You need to generate so much power to get that far post. But Nuhu positioning to perfection right at him. He's been massive for this Union Omaha side on 2 occasions.
Free kick Omaha right before the intermission. finally, Meza comes to the fore to win a free kick that would have some immense value. If you're Gill, Swahi, Palacios, Dos Santos, those are big guys.
Just looking for quality to beat that first defender, aiming for right between that 6-yard box and penalty mark.
Should be the last attacking moment of the half. Driven forward towards Swahi, punched away by Lute. And off of Gill and in to halftime. An ovation from this St. Louis crowd. It felt utterly dominant. The expected goals don't really do it justice. Just over 1 for St. Louis, about half a goal for Omaha. But as we head into the break, St. Louis, Ricky, looking every bit the part of the MLS side on their home ground in front of 20,000 plus.
Just so active, so confident. But if you ask Bradley Carnell, he's going to want that finishing touch. He's going to want 2. He's going to want 3. He's going to want to put this game to bed earlier than often. But for Union Omaha, Dominic Casiado, get confident, get on the ball, get the rhythm, take the win out of this sale. Sold out house. So what does this look like in the next 45 minutes? Play simple, come together, be compact, and try to find a way to claw yourself back into this game.
Coming up at halftime, we'll walk you through some of the history of the U.S. Open Cup in St. Louis. Historic and recent. Why there's maybe some history to be made today. St. Louis leads 1-0 at the half. Enjoy the sprinklers.
We welcome you back to the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup third round game between St. Louis City SC and Union Omaha. We are in uncharted territory now. City Park is a sellout tonight. And the announced attendance figure sets an Open Cup third round record, 22,423. And we've heard every last one of them for a solid 45 minutes.
And let me remind you, it's also Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's incredible. You talk about making a culture, and it starts with the 12th man off the field. You talk to anyone around MLS about St. Louis City, they talk about the atmosphere and City Park and the fans as well, just terrific.
All right, let's show you what they saw in the first 45 minutes, and it was worth arriving on a Tuesday for. St. Louis City from the opening jump all over Union Omaha. How about A.Z. Jackson? Like they never even left the Open Cup.
And he's just so clinical. As he sees the green grass in front of him, he does one thing on his mind. Let me put this into that near post. There's nothing that Nuhu can do. But for Omaha, it was talking about set pieces. That's the way you're going to claw yourself back into the game when things weren't clicking. Set pieces, when you have Louis' skill, the quality was going to be there. As Dos Santos, who kind of faded towards that first half, creates his own space. It's straight at Lute. So much talent, Mike, for the St. Louis City side, especially on that front three. Jensen, Pompeo, Jackson, Ostrak. Those three players were so active in terms of their movement, playing off of one each other. The run as Nuhu comes off his line. I think Jackson's here is caught between two minds. Do I hit it first time? Do I cut back inside? But give credit to Shaft Brewer Jr. Last-ditch defending effort, and he leads. He lets this thing stay at 1-0 instead of 2-0. But again, just the ongoing running, Pompeo, Jackson, Pompeo goes up and over. But again, Mike, it was just nonstop pressure from St. Louis City.
St. Louis City with just over one expected goal from all these efforts. This would be Ostrak. Nuhu had to make a handful of saves that look pretty difficult from this eye.
Yeah, I don't think he knows much about that one, but also this is a terrific save in terms of his positioning. If he steps one side to his right, that ball's in the back of the net.
So City's making history already in this new iteration of St. Louis soccer in the U.S. Open Cup. Take a look at some of these cradled photos. 12 championships from 7 different St. Louis-based clubs in the U.S. Open Cup. The tournament dates to 1914. This year there are 100 teams, including this debutante side, St. Louis City SC. Even Omaha has St. Louis roots on their team. Think about this for a moment. That's David Doyle. The commentary on this was wild. St. Louis ambush forward. He's in the Indoor Soccer Hall of Fame in this country. He scores. It's brilliant. What do you do when you score like that?
I don't know. I've never done it, but I know what he does. Goes on to the fans on the wall. Just terrific stuff right there.
So that's David Doyle, and yes, that is Connor Doyle, who captains the side for Union Omaha, a little bit closer to a former home of his father. All the while here in St. Louis, they're writing that new chapter. It is a third-round record for attendance. It is a young but exciting, flashy team from St. Louis. The lead Union Omaha 1-0 at halftime. Well, we'll see what kind of changes Omaha can make to try and stem off the bleeding. In some ways, St. Louis may look back at that first half and go, how do we only finish with one? If the floodgates open in the next 20 minutes, that'll be forgotten about. If they don't, this could get dicey.
And if it's 1-0, it just plays into the hands in terms of hope from Union Omaha. Hostile environment, you stay together, you try to get this thing under control, and the way you're going to do that on the ball, play simple, move the ball from left to right, get the confidence within the team, and take the rhythm. You talk to Dominic Casiato, he tells his boys, look, stay together, we're in this, be confident, play our game plan, and don't play the game, play the occasion.
Well, here it is through. Pompeo slicing back, floated into the air on that back heel from Ostrak. Vasilev. Watts goes through Yarrow. This is Perez, debuted in game 1 for the club. Had the first goal for St. Louis City's now burgeoning academy. Part of the conversation with Bradley Carnell this week was just looking back at the history, not only the players, the teams that have come out of the St. Louis area. Ball driven to the feet of Jensen, unable to corral it on first touch. Still, it's Vasilev.
If you know anything about the St. Louis Scott Gallagher Academy and the number of players they've put out, the storied St. Louis University Billikens, although I'm not sure that telling a Creighton guy about that is going to win me any honors.
Oh, trust me, I know all about it.
Vasilev goes down.
Dying moments of that first half, we saw set piece around the same distance. Vasilev, Pompeo over the ball. When you look at Bartlett at the top of your screen, 1v1 with him and Steven Dos Santos, but also Ostrak. Tons of real estate on this right-hand side.
St. Louis scored in the 3rd minute in the first half. They score inside 3 minutes out of halftime. May not get the chance if they can't quell this. Yarrow on the wrong end of a bit of pushing and shoving. Pompeo steps over, so it'll be Vasilev. Pompeo drives across, deflects, it's an own goal, bounces off Gallardo, and St. Louis City, as they did in the first half, score within 3 minutes of the whistle. And a new era of the Open Cup in St. Louis is off and running.
Set pieces, we've talked about it all night. Who's going to step up as Pompeo runs over? Just look at the lack of marking from the Union Omaha defense. That's something that's not X and O's, that's pure will. Staying to your assignment as Pompeo goes over. Who's going to shift over? You put the ball into a dangerous situation and good things happen. Probably not the prettiest goal Pompeo will ever score in his career, but he'll take it. 2-0, St. Louis City at home.
It's a club that set the tone in the Open Cup last year with their second team. Meza drops back. Can Omaha steal one quickly here? Brewer away from Gill. City 2 did get out of the second round and into the third round. Drew a USL championship team, Louisville City. Took that match all the way to penalties. That's a game where Kyle Hebert was an unknown at the time. Now he's playing with the Canadian national team. Akil Watts started in that game. Pompeo started in that game. Yarrow, captain then, captain now. And of course, who could forget all that St. Louis FC did in the lead up to St. Louis City arriving here, reaching a quarterfinal half a decade ago.
Already you see defensively for Union Omaha, just better shape. Hill's next to Doyle as well as Skiers to make that line of 3 right in front of that back four. That's something that was hurting them so much in the front line. St. Louis City having so much real estate with Team Jensen to come to the interior. Jackson as well. So already in terms of positioning and shape for Union Omaha a bit better.
Perez sprays wide. Jensen won't get there. Akoff arrives. Say don't underestimate the heart of a champion. Omaha, certainly that since they entered League One. And while the heart remains, the brain has changed. Jay Mims' exit over the offseason led this team to a double in League One, the 3rd division in the United States, regular season and postseason. Along with Greenville and the very early stages of North Texas and Normandy early. Pompeo touching through, and Nuhu off his line aggressively. How's that for setting its own?
That's what you want. Riley Carnell saying we want to kill their hope. We want to tell them that they're at our house, make an impact statement. A better way of doing that was scoring within the first 3 minutes of both halves.
Bradley Carnell going back to his time as the interim at New York Red Bulls. 12 times his teams have scored first, 9 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws. One of those draws was over the weekend to Colorado, a game where they felt the GPS may well have proved it. They ran themselves right into the ground in the first half. And the altitude in the Rockies. Pompeu, Palacios. After much contemplation and gesturing, a goal kick. Lutz Pfannenstiel's the sporting director. He's as quotable a sporting director as Major League Soccer has. And he talked about the idea of not a designated player or a group of designated players, it's a designated team. And with 10 players rotating in for St. Louis City today, you can see it on display quite clearly at the moment.
I think you also see the players that understand the opportunity that's in front of them. It's so easy, especially in this Open Cup, to say, oh, I'm playing on a Tuesday, not really get up for the game. But when you have managers like Bradley Carnell, the culture that's been put within from the St. Louis City, everything from top to bottom, you want to fight for your spot. So when match day 9, 10, 11, 12 comes in MLS, you pencil in that first 11, you want to be on that list. These players are hungry, they're motivated, and they show that here 54 minutes in.
Went through Skiers into Gallardo. Dos Santos a long way from home.
And you want him to stay central. You don't want him to go towards that right channel. Big in nature, physical number 9. Hold up play is his key. Players underneath him to have that secondary movement. It's been an extremely frustrating day at the office for the big target number 9.
Jackson. Palacios. He was well in front of that back line. If he's beaten, there was space.
It wouldn't be the first time we've seen that as well.
Meza catching Akil Watts. Yarrow, more direct. Ostrak, Pompeu. Doyle, Brewer, come back to Watts, cuts in, play on. Well, there was an opening on the opposite side for Jensen, goes unseen.
We've talked about it, just changing the point of attack, being crisp and clean in your passing, to start on one side and on the other. Jensen had so much space, so unfortunate when players don't see him.
Dos Santos wanted that played out in front of him. It's irrelevant. He was offside. They're announcing the attendance. It's okay to pat yourself on the back when you set a record.
It's incredible. First year, nonetheless, as well. It's top class from top to bottom.
Just shy of 22,500. An announced sellout. And a record for the third round in the Open Cup. Of course, the draw is on Thursday. Should St. Louis City get through, we'll find out their next opponent, whether or not they'll be able to try another Tuesday night just like this. Akoff. Off the head of Bartlett. Corner Omaha, there's still a world of time left in this game.
And Akoff has been terrific on the right back position. Picking and choosing his times when to go forward. Nice little nutmeg. But set pieces are going to be extremely important for this Union Omaha side, trying to claw himself back in, especially how nervy St. Louis City looked in that first half. Just looking for quality here.
Corner for Omaha, never got to Akoff, met by Pedro. Akoff was shot out of a cannon last time he approached the penalty area. And now he's run amok with the referee. Lorenzo Hernandez holding the whistle. Skims the head of Dos Santos. Ricky, you've been on both sides of this, and as an attacking player, it can be going great for you as the big club that's getting a ton of service into forwards. You're constantly moving, constantly creating. And then there's the Omaha side right now for Mesa and Dos Santos, where they just can't latch onto the ball with any amount of space.
The challenge for Union Omaha, especially on that front line, is taking care of the ball. When that ball comes into you, how good can you be at inviting pressure, dropping it in and spinning off? You know your team is going to be drained of running around, so ball retention is key for Union Omaha. But on the other side, St. Louis City, take chances, express yourself in that final third. 1v1 combination play, pull players out of position. There's no better feeling for a striker or an attacking player to see the ball hit the back of the net. Another opportunity as we approach the hour mark in this match.
Gallardo. He had the last touch on the 48th minute own goal. Yarrow going into Skierce. Chance to run here for Tomas Ostrak. Jackson slid away by Meza. That's a foul and a free kick for Omaha. They begin again. We've played an hour in the third round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. First game for this MLS side. When they were in Next Pro last year, they did feature in the competition. Were ousted by Louisville City at this point. Union Omaha, a tremendous run, truly, to the quarterfinals. Wins over two MLS sides on the road, Minnesota and Chicago, before Kansas City sent them out of the competition in the final 8. Only to see Kansas City ousted in Sacramento as a second division side reached the final for the first time since the 2008 Charleston Battery.
And it's the beauty of the Open Cup. Just gives players, organizations, all the above.
Pompeo for Watts! Akil Watts! A magnificent goal for Akil Watts. Here from day one. His long-awaited standing ovation.
And you hear what it means to the fans in attendance here. But this is top-level football. from back to front from St. Louis City. You just see the 1-2 to continue his run. Pompeo lets his play develop. It's all about patience in the end. As Akil Watts gets in behind the back line of Union Omaha, clinical, cool, calm, collected, roots this thing over Nuhu's left shoulder, off to the corner to celebrate. St. Louis City, 3-0.
6 goals and 7 assists in Next Pro last year for City 2. Akil Watts tied 4th in that league for assists in its debut season. Some time at Mallorca. He grew up training 4 or 5 years above his age group. Landed in Louisville under his former youth national team coach, John Hackworth. And when Hackworth arrived in St. Louis, Akil Watts, one of the first players he called to try and set the standard for City 2, setting the foundation. 2 St. Louis players are down. Brewer, Yarrow. There are 4 St. Louis players down now. That's Miguel Perez. Signed as a homegrown in February. And back up of his own volition. The greater concern is closer to the halfway line. Jackson was down for a time. He's back up. They're looking at that left leg. Looks like Indy Vasilev. Let's see if we can get a better look at it.
Just knee to knee between him and Akoff. Those are never fun. No ill will there from the right back. And as Perez comes in, just misses the ball completely. And awkwardly takes a tumble. Those are never fun for Vasilev. Comes across to do his offensive duties and just takes a knee. Good to see him up on his own power.
A lot of praise from Bradley Carnell this week about the energy he brought off the bench against the Rapids. Vasilev and Aston Villa youth from Savannah. Ended up at Inter Miami the last 2 years. There are changes coming for Union Omaha. See Dolabella set to enter. Player was at Rochester, New York, FC last year. Fighting Jamie Vardy's. I mean, they were.
It's a brilliant opportunity for these young men as well to make their impact felt. Coming in. Some rhythm within the team from Union Omaha.
Palacios. Turn back to Jensen. Fish in a barrel. Pompeu stabs it over. Jackson! AZL Jackson's got his second of the night. And this record crowd have seen quite the performance here in St. Louis.
It's been the downfall for Union Omaha, playing out of the back, sloppy turnovers, all of the above. Unfortunate slip there from Sawahi, but how unselfish is Jensen as he retreats. Pompeo gets away from him a little bit. Jackson, when he's feeling it, when he's confident, just ropes this thing, gets his hips around it. There's nothing new who can do. How quickly can this city side turn their defense into offense? That man's having a day. And Pompeo have been terrific on that front line for Bradley Carnell.
What a way to score your first 2 goals for this club. After 10 goals a year ago with Minnesota United 2. And the route is on. Pompeo announced with the assist. That's a trio, right?
According to my calculator, it is. You want to make an impact felt, not even score a goal, but also assist 3. It's terrific stuff there from Pompeo.
Brito came on for Gallardo. Milanese, Dolabella in as well. Meza came off. Jan Akoff came out as well. Gill. Dummied in the direction of Dolabella. Changes are coming for St. Louis in due time. Jensen. Free kick for St. Louis City. Now, Sam Adeniran was sent on loan to San Antonio. That's where he finished last year in the championship earlier today. Blom, Parker, Nielsen, Nerwinski, Klaus, and Hebert were left out of the team. That doesn't mean that St. Louis doesn't have some pretty impressive firepower. So Vasilev first to come off. And Tomas Ostrak as well. How about this change? They're bringing Edouard Leuven in off the bench.
Let's say it's a decent sub.
Lou, they scream.
Such a special player. DP for St. Louis City. A very good feel for the game. 1v1, the spaces that he picks up between lines. He's going to be a nightmare for this Union Omaha side. It's the last thing you want if you're a back line. An opposition down 4-0, 70th minute. Who do you bring on? Your DP number 10.
And meanwhile, a club debut for John Bell. There he is, Leuven. Jackson. Sawahi waved at it. Corner.
We just talked about Ostrak and Vasilev. Terrific shift from those 2 players in the center of the park. Vasilev, I thought, was terrific in terms of just ball retention, connecting his passes, but also clogging up that center channel, not giving Union Omaha any sort of real estate to operate in. How many times did we see him pick out a pass, have a tackle into kickstart an attack? Same thing as Ostrak. Bradley Carnell needs to be extremely pleased with those 2 young men.
Driven through the penalty area, knotted away with ease. There are some fresh legs in the attack here for Omaha, but it is off the mark for Brito. Right now, it doesn't look like we may have any cup sets here tonight. Monterey Bay and San Jose, the late game this evening. Kansas City, New England, Charlotte, Minnesota, all handling their business. Kansas City's at halftime. The other aforementioned teams already at full time. Meanwhile, extra time between the Battery and the Independents, and they get their goal in the 112th minute. Battery could be a real problem. That's the Lee Cohen, Ben Pierman experiment. Nuhu pushing straight ahead. It's almost a fool's errand, isn't it, Ricky, to try and pick a potential winner in the Open Cup? You're trying to balance the depth that gets you through these early rounds without too many nicks and bruises, but also the top end of your roster that is trying to compete for MLS Cup at the same time, the upcoming Leagues Cup. This St. Louis City side, the performance they got from this second group tonight has to give you a little bit of belief that if the draw goes their way, there could be a lot of optimism that this St. Louis town may add another banner sooner than later.
And it's a good problem to have for Bradley Carnell. So you advance into the next round, which looks like you will. What's the lineup going to look like now? Do you keep giving these young men the opportunity to claim their stake in the starting 11? Do they play into the next MLS game? What does this look like? It's so interesting for a coach to balance the league, a competition like this. You mentioned Leagues Cup now. What is just so much football, and that's what you want for players, just the ability to showcase and put pressure on a manager.
Who for St. Louis, because it feels like nobody's put a foot wrong as Yarrow puts a foot in and sends it back to Loon. Who maybe created the best business card tonight, as Bradley Carnell described it?
Well, I think you have to look at Pompeo and Jackson. I mean, Pompeo, 3 assists, the own goal, he's the one who created it. I think him and Watts have been on the same page, always inverted winger, outside fullback, and also Jackson just having that finishing touch is a reason why you go out and get a player that was on a rival club and next pro, because you see something in him, right? You see creativeness and product. And games like this, how do they take that opportunity? How do they tell the organization that I was worth the investment, I was worth having to come into day in and day out and training performances like this? And I think those two players have really made the most impact for St. Louis City.
Jackson was acquired for $150,000 of allocation money. So not exactly a drop in the bucket for a young player that hadn't really gotten time in MLS. But a best 11 performance in Next Pro gave them an inkling. Through for Jackson again. Jackson! Seeking his hat trick tonight.
We've talked about everything he has with the ball. We'll talk about without the ball, the reading of the game. As Perez comes in, Jackson makes his darting run from right to left. I think he's a bit too eager. Maybe he makes a wrong decision, cuts it back to Perez, and he gets his curtain call.
Aziel Jackson, like smooth jazz. 2 goals tonight. Goals in the 3rd and the 66th. And he's earned the chance to be a spectator from here. Meanwhile, there's Jared Stroud.
3 goals, 2 assists already on the 2023 MLS campaign. Once again, Union Omaha back line. Doesn't get easier.
Stroud coming off 2 years in Austin, as was discussed following the opener for sure. Milanese, away from the former Akron product that was a national runner-up. Played at Ocean City under Omaha's assistant coach Kevin Nuss. Actually was in with Napoli and Parma. Italian player from a really impressive lineage. Alex Steinwasser, the 22-year-old from Michigan. Twice a Conference Player of the Year at University of Indianapolis.
We talked about the attacking unit from St. Louis City, but defensively they've been terrific as well. A couple nervy moments on set pieces earlier in that first half, but other than that, rarely put a foot wrong between Josh Auer, Bartlett. The coverage for each other, picking out passes, stepping into that midfield third, the kickstart attack. Accompany that, Pedro, Watts. It's a full-on performance from this home side.
Milanese. Away from Yarrow.
Mike, it's minute 78. I don't think I've seen one person take a seat yet.
Not in our view, no. Watts kept it away from Brito. Steinwasser, ball bouncing in front and off his line. Lunt pirouetting. Dolabella from no angle at all gives Omaha a goal in the 79th minute.
And it just comes from nothing. Bit of confusion within the back line of St. Louis City. Am I going to get it? You're going to get it. No one gets it. The player that gets on the end of it, Dolabella. I think everyone's waiting for that cutback ball. Takes the whole St. Louis City backline by surprise, gets his hips around it, and just rockets this thing into the side netting. It's going to be a frustrating one for Bradley Carnell not to get the clean sheet, but give credit to Dolabella. Never say give up attitude. He gets himself on the score sheet.
They called him the mayor at Marshall when he won the national championship in 2020. If he does it right at Omaha, he'll be Dolabella in no time. Back heel, and the shot deflects off of Nuhu from Stroud and away from Pompeu. Oh. Said a lot of these guys haven't put a foot wrong. It's possible Yarrow may have put half a foot wrong, but nevertheless, this struck from range by Perez. Fans dive deeper into the thrills and the drama of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Join the conversation on Twitter and Instagram at Open Cup and on Facebook at Official Open Cup. Bartlett stiff-arming his way free. Leuven, yes, Edouard Leuven is in the game. Stretching his legs ahead of the weekend. Leuven showing off that skill. Pompeu. Leuven. Leuven, a drive kicked away by Nuhu. Second bite of the apple ahead to Jensen. That got denied. And put into orbit. City 2 last year did reach the final, finished second of 21 teams in Next Pro. Stroud on the run, cut back, Pompeu tagging Leuven, Brewer. Leuven going deep in his bag and combining off Pompeu, trying to find Jensen that elusive goal. He may go for this himself though. Leuven.
It's also a form of leadership to understand that these players have been working For 82 minutes, get them the ball, get them the goal that they need for their confidence as well. It's leading by example, getting the players around you the confidence that they deserve. It's top level stuff there from your DP.
Free kick won by Pompeu. Here's a change for Omaha. It will be their finale off the bench. And it will be Shivani Willis.
Substitution for Union Omaha, leading game number 17.
The Jamaican replaces J.P. Skeers. You know, it's almost impossible to capture lightning in a bottle. And what Omaha did last year caught the attention of everybody in U.S. soccer as an expansion team to make that kind of run, or as an expansion league as it pertains to the Open Cup. As 2020, 2021, there was no Open Cup to be played. So in that debut run, to go all the way to a quarterfinal from the 3rd division, collect the prize money, knock off 2 MLS teams, and Skeers was such a big part of it. Wasn't able to make the same impact tonight. You could say that for a number of these Owls.
I think it's also a reason why all these MLS sides or any opposition that they have in Open Cup take them extremely serious.
Yeah.
Saying, look, we know what they did last time out. We're not going to be victim to that. We're going to take this like a league match in terms of preparation, week training up to it, whatever it may be. That's why you see the St. Louis City side extremely prepared.
Bolabella. Now Omaha looking for a miracle. Pfannenstiel described it as the gateway to hell, playing against this St. Louis team. And Omaha find a second and put some semblance of pressure into the game. Luis Gil. Gil circumnavigates Bell, hangs it up there, header down, is wide. But Pfannenstiel talked about all the excitement, and so did a number of the players in the lead up to this game. Take a look at all the former Open Cup winners and the banners that the Luligans have placed on the capo stands here. They 100% get it here in St. Louis. Of course, the Luligans, among the rest of the banners, established 2010 as a relative newcomer, but when there wasn't an MLS team, they were the ones at WPS, they were the ones at USL Championship games, they were the ones going to St. Louis Billiken games, they were the ones at the City 2 games. At its absolute best, supporters act and promote within the community and growing the game like the Luligans do, and the fans associated with them here in St. Louis.
It's interesting, on our phone call with Bradley Carnell, we talked about just the fans and the support. We talked about traditions in MLS. You have Timber Joe, you have everything, the list that goes on. But he said, look, I want the fans to make tradition. I want them,
I love that.
I want them to be that voice that we're not going to force it. It's going to become organic, and that's something that you see from top to bottom. And it's just terrific stuff. That's why it's the club you want to play for if you're a player.
That's Loon, ensuring no further trouble. Leuven, Pompeu. Leuven off the deflection. Edouard Leuven! He's brought the curtain down for St. Louis. And this city with such awe-inspiring Open Cup history. In this 3rd round match, their debut performance, one for the ages.
This makes it look so easy, doesn't he? He gets a second bite of the apple in this opportunity, but just look how he understands, if I break this initial press, I have so much space to operate in. He gets fortunate, but then he just sends it while he's packing cool, calm, as you would like. Opens up his hips and calmly slots it into that far post. No chance for Nuhu. Just terrific stuff. That's why you wear the number 10 for moments like that.
played the pass for that? Was it Pompeu again, was it? No. I'm just trying to keep track. My score sheet is full. The stadium is built underground, about 40 feet below street level. They've got this clear plastic awning above that reflects all the sound back in. Every one of the 22,450 fans here are within 120 feet of the surface in their seat. It is a modern marvel that the teams that have found Open Cup glory in St. Louis could have only dreamed of. There is more U.S. Open Cup action ahead tomorrow night. More than a dozen matches will be streamed live. Wednesday's coverage kicks off 7 Eastern. Louisville City winds up the Ohio River. Tackle FC Cincinnati. Fun doesn't stop until Portland Timbers host Orange County SC. 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. Visit usopencup.com for the full schedule and links to watch more matches. I didn't write it, but I am calling both of them. I'm excited for that. Orange County won the title in 2021 in the second division. Portland starting to find their edge, but the results yet to follow. And then Louisville and Cincinnati. Dirty River Derby, GB Gate. There is some good-natured bad blood, I think is where we've landed. I'm not sure anyone that followed St. Louis FC, the predecessor in the championship, folded to make way for St. Louis City, really cares for any positive commentary about FC Cincinnati nor Louisville City. Kings Cup, the hotly contested trophy with Louisville. And it's where it ended for St. Louis FC in the postseason.
I'll tell you what, for this Union Omaha side, the subs that have came onto the field have made a really calming impact. You start to see them combining a bit more in terms of their passing, connecting, breaking through lines. So something positive for Dominic Casiado to take away. Players to come in, have the confidence to get on the ball, move the ball from left to right. Something we didn't see at all in the first half.
3 minutes of academic stoppage time. So for the fans that might be new to the Open Cup, Thursday night is the draw. Just because your geographic region in this last round was drawn doesn't mean you're going to be drawn with the same teams again. If you're St. Louis, you'll watch the matches around you. They'll try as closely as they can to set up the geography. And then we'll draw the teams for the round of 32. Joseph Malfa and Devin Kerr will walk you through all the great matchups. Always engaging commentary from Devin Kerr. Kept in by Brito. If you're Union Omaha, who sent so many fans to the 3 venues that they played in against Major League Soccer teams last year, en route to the quarterfinal, Soldier Field, Allianz Field, and then going to Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City. You've got a new coach, a number of new players. They arrived here in St. Louis and were undeterred, and they ended up paying a price at times for that. But at no point did it feel like they were going to become a shell of themselves, which is ultimately, I think most teams would rather go down.
You take pride in it. You come in, hostile environment, top of the Western Conference in MLS for the St. Louis City side. It's so easy for players, for an organization to say, look, we're going to bunker down. We're going to go against our identity.
Ball lashed and framed by Dolabella, covered by Luke.
We're going to go against our identity and just try to grind for a result. So much pride to once you're down 3-0, you can easily hang your head, say, look, game is done and dusted. Not going to put a foot forward anymore. But these players have fought. Subs came in, they made an impact, they want to keep on playing. They're asking questions of the back line. Loot, you see Dolabella once again pulling the trigger. So a lot of positives to take, and you know this is just going to kickstart their season in USL League One. It all becomes about a reaction for the Owls.
They'll dust themselves off and take on the team they met last year in the round of 32, Northern Colorado.
Great ball.
Early for Dolabella. Yarrow siphoned it off into the final seconds. Leuven. Could there be one more? In behind. Nuhu ensures that's it. Stroud denied. And we should be down to our final kick here in the third round. A spectacular night all around. Record attendance for the third round of the Open Cup in its 108th edition. Over 22,000. Watch an epic performance by St. Louis City SC. In their debut Open Cup game, they knock off the giant slayer Union Omaha 5-1.
Dominant from minute 1 to minute 93. For Bradley Carnell, it was a trap game. You can either look at it face on, become complacent, or you put the pedal to the metal and go for glory. Advance to the round of 32, and the way you did it in fashion, defensively, offensively, top performance from the home side.
The awe-inspiring St. Louis City SC attack. Let's take you through the highlights. Remember when the sun was out, the game had just started? AZ Jackson in the 3rd minute.
And it's just a terrific finish. But you can just see, once again, Union Omaha, just little collapses that were really their kryptonite, inability to shift over. That's something that you learn in the locker room. Who's going to go over the ball? Who's going to track the runner? And then the center of the channel was just their nightmare. You just saw the movement, the combination play. This is a terrific goal. Pompeo Watts comes around the corner as a right back. Terrific finish up and over Nuhu. Showed that there's nothing he can do. But then you see Bradley Carnell. He goes to his bench. Who was he going to bring on? Who was going to get the last curtain call for the side? You bring in a DP player. You bring in Stroud. You bring in players to put the exclamation mark on this game. Ezekiel Jackson gets his brace. Left foot, ropes it into the corner. You just see the fans here at City Park. Love it, Mike.
Jackson, a tremendous performance. His first 2 goals for the club. There would be some salvation for Omaha. Dolabella spins around and pirouettes, firing that in. Something.
And it's a terrific finish from Dolabella. The never say give up attitude as Lewin comes in. Just makes it look so easy, so silky as he calmly slots it in to that far post.
All right, Ricky, there are 2 teams about 10 miles apart. Miami and Inter Miami. That one's a fun one, and you're on the call for it.
It's going to be very interesting. Inter Miami, 6 games on the road losing.
Yep.
In a row, excuse me. Miami FC finally find the back of the net, so that one's going to be one. It's going to be very interesting how that plays out.
Chicago and Chicago matching up in a local derby. Midwest Premier League side, an amateur side trying to knock off the Fire, the team that sparked the run for Union Omaha. Here's what the late slate looks like. That's quite the rivalry matchup in the USL. Sacramento and Oakland, Nashville and San Antonio, the team that just dominated the championship last year, won't get their chance at Nashville.
That one's going to be very interesting, how San Antonio plays, but you have a World Cup veteran, Walker Zimmerman, who likes to win those aerial duels. Portland Timbers hosting Orange County. That one's going to be very interesting at Providence Park there. Las Vegas Lights host Real Salt Lake. Slew of games, and this is what you want for an organization, opportunity to knock off teams above you.
And that does it for us tonight. St. Louis City strolled onto the field like St. Louis had never left. A giant of a city in the Open Cup. And in their dominant return,
5 goals. Watts, a pair from Jackson. Leuven late. It was a performance for the ages in front of over 22,000. A third-round record. For Ricky Lopez, Espen, our entire team in St. Louis and beyond, Mike Watts saying so long and thanks for watching.